I'm out here this morning on a lake behind my backyard, just taking God's creation in, just enjoying the beautiful mist, and the sun's about to come up, and you'll probably see a change on my face here in a little bit as it gets brighter, as the sun begins to shine on me. I watched a movie last night, a video called Good Will Hunting. A guy named Matt Damon starred, and Robin Williams was a co-star. It was about a man who was brilliant, a young man, a genius, but he didn't want to pursue and enter that genius, enter into the world that genius could be used. He was comfortable as a construction worker. He couldn't enter into the fullness of all that he was created to be in love and in career because he had been terribly abused as a child. And that abuse, while it happened years ago, was still with him. And the abuse was still going on in his life. And it was affecting the people around him as well. There are millions of people who in some fashion or another in this world that have been abused. My daughter just bought a dog not too long ago from a pound. And this dog had been terribly abused. It was so skittish that I almost begged my daughter, please don't buy that dog. Because I know that the dogs that are heavily abused when they're puppies, that abuse stays with them. And even though you can love a lot of that stuff out, they have this skittishness and this sort of behavior of fear that just makes the dog not like that classic, friendly, carefree dog that just gets into anybody and everybody's lap. My daughter had a dog like that, a white dog called Austin Scrufflebutt. It was the perfect dog. I loved that dog, and so did my daughter, and that's why she got this second dog. She missed it so much. But it was, I knew she was going to have trouble with this dog. But if anyone was going to love the torment and the abuse out of this dog, it was going to be my daughter. And she's doing a very good job of getting this dog to be friendly and overcoming the fear that it had. I think this dog, when it was a puppy, must have been shot at when it ate or something like that. It was terribly afraid of noise. And it had a very strange eating habit. It just seemed to back off from eating all the time. And it had a hard time looking at the food. It's a very strange, peculiar behavior. My son Scott, who passed away a year ago, he lost his dog too. He had a huge Rhodesian Ridgeback, and it died of cancer at an early age. But that dog was fearless. That dog was not afraid of anything, except one little tiny teacup poodle that belonged to a friend of ours. And that little tiny dog that this Rhodesian Ridgeback could swallow in one bite, that Rhodesian Ridgeback was afraid of that little tiny teacup poodle. Not afraid because of abuse. It just didn't want to do anything to put itself against the graces of this little dog, because the dog was female and he was male, and he loved that little dog. So he put up with a lot of abuse from this little yappity yap 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 poodle, because he was in love. Dogs. You know, we say that the dog is the man's best friend, and I think for many people that's true. Even the Bible has a strange thing where a type and a shadow in the Old Testament where this Joshua entered into the promised land. He took the children into the promised land. There were two people that led the children of Israel into the promised land. Joshua, which means Jesus in Hebrew, Yeshua, and Caleb. Those were two of the faithful spies that went into the land and believed that Israel could take it. Caleb is the dog tribe. So in a very kind of strange, ironic way, in the Old Testament there's this foreshadowing of Joshua, Jesus, bringing the children of Israel, the children of God, all of humanity into the promised land. Jesus, Joshua, and the dog, his best friend. I think that's a nice story. Well, why am I bringing up dogs, abused dogs? Well, I've been in church for about 25 years, and I've seen what goes on in dozens and dozens of different denominations and hundreds of churches. There were times when I went to church 7 days a week. I couldn't get enough of trying to find corporately what I experienced individually when I got saved 25 years ago. I had a very radical, dramatic conversion experience. And in that very dramatic conversion experience, God revealed to me in such a personal, powerful way that He was really my Father and that I was really His Son. It was so supernatural and the love was so incredibly great that I looked for that corporate expression in church and I never found it. But one of the profound things that happened to me in that conversion, when God revealed to me that He was my personal Father, He also made it plain to me that I was not a mistake. I am illegitimate. I'm what the world would call a bastard. I don't know who my real father is. And that shame, in my generation, my time, when you didn't know who your father was, that was a big deal. Today, it's not as much of a big deal, but it was to me. It was in my generation. When He revealed to me in a uniquely personal way that I wasn't a mistake, that He purposed me from the foundation of the world. That really freed me up. It really brought a lot of healing. I can't share it to you if you haven't had the experience, if you don't know what real deep rejection is and what that does to the psyche. I don't have words to explain it to you. You have to have experienced those kind of things to know what guilt, shame, fear, what these things do on the inside. But over the years of being a Christian, I've discovered that most of mankind, most Christians,